we're back at it, Real Estate with Ryan, on a Saturday. So excited to be with you. I say back at it because it's been a minute, been with you guys. It's been a busy summer, and I hope you're enjoying your time with your family. Kiddos are weeks away from school, and the real estate market is in full speed here in the Knoxville, Tennessee housing market. So, like I said, it's an amazing weekend. Really hard to believe that the kiddos are right around the corner. Knox County Schools goes August 7th. I think some other schools follow. Feels like that you just wake up and before you know it, blink, the summer's over. Hard to believe. It's hard to believe. Housing market hasn't blinked, though. Hasn't missed a beat. Fed's doing the same thing that they've done every time there's a meeting, consistently staying the same. The rates remain unchanged for most of this year. Rates routinely have held above or pretty close to about 7%. Inflation still remains a concern as Federal Reserve holds the rate steady. 30-year mortgages are down a little bit this week, so that's a good sign. And so mortgage applications did pick up a little bit, but still right about 6.875 for your 30-year mortgage is where rates are at. So we've got that mortgage, Fed news. We're going to talk about the housing market. Will it remain stuck until 2026? Don't know. Will they do anything in September? Don't know that either. Your guess is as good as mine. But we'll explore the housing market here in East Tennessee. More importantly, we'll talk about investment properties. Our goal here and our main topic is what to consider before buying a rental property. I think that's so big because in the housing market right now, investors have an opportunity that they haven't seen in the last couple of years. So if you're going to buy an investment property, now might be the time. When a stock goes down or the stock's a little bit lower, maybe an opportunity to buy. Housing opportunity now to buy a rental where maybe you have an opportunity for cash flow down the road is that opportunity. We'll talk about things that you need to know. If you're going to be a landlord, if this is your first investment property, we'll talk about things that you may consider, things you may not consider. One of the biggest things is, real estate should be easy. We'll get a rental property, put it on the market. But there's a lot of hidden facts, things you need to know, reserves, costs now that we didn't incur 5 or 7 years ago. So we'll cover that and keep you up to date with where the housing market is, where we proceed moving forward the rest of the year. How do we see the housing market in East Tennessee? We'll talk about the Knoxville housing market, and we'll talk about the Smokies, what that vacation market's looking like as well. So that and so much more. But before we get going, as always, we got some new listings. Congrats. And we've been quite busy. So we got new listing over on 817 Powell Valley Shores in Speedwell, Lakeview. Make sure you check that property out. New luxury cabin out in Antesia Way in Gatlinburg, just put on the market here. Let's keep that in mind. Moving forward, this new tax bill that's coming out has really opened up the rental market or bonus depreciation. If you don't know what that is, it's where you're forced depreciation the asset over a period of time, and you can do it within a 12-month period. Not a CPA by any means. Full disclosure, get your guidance from your professionals. But in the rental market, we do know that, and we've done that this property, my seller was actually chatting with me about. He bought this property and depreciated the actual personal property on it, which was $100,000 in personal property. He took advantage of when he bought this property, just on the personal property alone. So investors, as we close out towards the end of the year, we're going to see a lot of sales across the country, relocating, doing the 1031s, but the bonus depreciation is back to 100% from what I'm understanding. So do your diligence on that. But that makes a lot of properties, especially our larger properties in the Smokies that are setting a little bit, go under contract. And we've had some success with those as well. So keep that in mind. New listing out in Kingston, 110 Holcomb Drive in Kingston. Will be hitting the market next week. Actually, will be coming out on Tuesday, so make sure you check out that. Has 13 acres, over 13 acres. Great property out in Kingston. Congrats to our great listing out in Kingston. We just talked about that. Gatlinburg, 4130 Trow Way. It's a 4-unit building, cabins, investment property, under contract. 721 Fox Road in West Knoxville, under contract. 741 East Millers Cove in Wallen. Congrats, going under contract. 604 Cherokee Orchard Road in Gatlinburg. Big cabin out there. Congrats to our builder. Lot in Dandridge on Green Hill Road. Congrats. And then Tipton Station in Knoxville. Great past clients of ours, as always, going under contract. and some recent sellers we had over in Oakland Lane and Sweetwater closing. And then our great radio listeners out there on Brandville Road in Knoxville. Super congrats to you guys, avid listeners of the radio station. I love my guys. They've been there forever, been in the family forever, that property. And they hate to see it go, but I had a chance to meet the buyers yesterday, actually, a couple days ago. And sweet little family from Las Vegas, believe it or not, relocating to this area. Love the privacy, love the location, and appreciate the sellers, how they maintain their home, and just pass it on to a new family. So they're going to love it. And thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for following us. And if you're tuning into Real Estate with Ryan for the first time, we're on the radio pretty much everywhere, every Saturday, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then, of course, we have 1 o'clock. So at 11 o'clock, we're on Talk Radio, 92.3 FM, 11 a.m. You can catch us there. Also streaming on Facebook there. Then News Talk, 98.7, 1 p.m. Great partner there. You can follow us there. And, of course, the social media, we're everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, and all the podcast places. So Real Estate with Ryan's there for you. Hope you have a good time. Appreciate all our avid listeners and followers. Hopefully we bring some value to the community of real estate, what's going on. And it is a different market. Totally a different market than what we've used to seeing, and excited to be part of it. Oh, it's always challengeful. That's a good word, right? It's always challenging when you deal with people, right? You know, when you deal with people in the public, it's a whole. I had a conversation with my workers today. I won't go too far into it, but people, business is always challenging, right? You deal with the public. We got different personalities. We got a agent over here, we've got a buyer over here, we've got a husband, got a wife, you could have an estate, you could have multiple siblings. So you got a lot of people involved in the process. It can make it challenging. What I would say as we talk about this housing market and where we're looking at in 2026 or moving forward presently is get with a great agent. Obviously, we do this show to kind of interview to see what we do, but there's a lot of great colleagues that we work with in this area. Those are opportunities as well. Get with a great team. We're a firm believer of having a great team in this housing market. It will be your best asset in 2025, making sure that you have a team approach to help you get your home sold for the most amount of money, guide you through this guidance of what to do and what not to do, and then work with the several parties involved that make a successful sale. We'll kind of get into the topics. Go to industry experts expect the 2025 housing market to remain kind of as it is. Mortgage rates, cost of inflations have got a damper on the housing markets. And obviously in September, whether the rates improve or not sure if that's a little bit too late or not. Home prices, mortgage rates, inventory levels are more in shape for housing affordability as we throughout the rest of the year. Rates, as we talked about in the beginning part of the show, about 6.78. I did see some of our FHA and VA rates down in the low 6.4, something like that. So there are some opportunities there. And we are seeing contracts pending here recently that we haven't seen in the last couple of weeks. Housing inventories across the country have about a 4.6 months inventory of supply. Of course, typically a normal balanced housing market is about 5 to 6 months of inventory. Kind of with some numbers about our housing market here in our area. In the Knoxville market, we have about 7,209 listings active. So in the month of July, we had about 1,435 pending and 1,048 sale actually closed. Our average sales price is about $463,000, $652. Average price per square foot is $223. And we're carrying, on average, 53 days on market. So that gives you some indication of where we're moving in our market locally. That being said, a lot of economists, a lot of people are talking about what we're predicting moving forward is that in 2026, there may not be relief until this housing market is more affordable. Everybody's facing that the interest rates may be the only thing, but it may not be the only thing that is affecting the housing market. Job sector, indication on tariffs, will that have some indication on building supplies? What's going to be cost there? There's we saw, I think this was a good note that I saw moving kind of going into the break, was that in the month of June, we're going to see that here, the month of June, builders had 5% price reductions that you normally don't see. So builders across the country are making some adjustments on pricing, which typically on new construction you're not seeing. And there's some concern regarding, the tariffs. Are they going to affect the builders on supplies? So none of us really knows. We're in uncharted territories. But I expect the housing market to be where we're at, so our marketing has to be key, and the exposure of your property is primary. Look, we're coming on a break. We got so much more. We're talking about rental property on the second half of Real Estate with Ryan. We'll be right back with you.
Knoxville and East Tennessee. The region is known for its rolling hills, rivers, and lakes. There's no better place to work, live, or raise a family. Home is where your story begins. Buying or selling your home is a big decision, and you need a real estate team you can trust.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty, your hometown experts. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let us develop a winning game plan for you.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. We're back at it, second half of Real Estate with Ryan. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. We do this little show, Real Estate with Ryan, try to have fun with it, talk about real estate, life, pretty much anything, but try to focus on the East Tennessee housing market and try to keep you up to date with your property and what's going on. Before we get going too far, I want to go into our 60-second vol update. Should be quick. But as always, we are 30 days, a little bit less than 30 days from football time in East Tennessee. All right, drum roll, please. All right, so Vols have been very active. They're back to practice. We've got a new 5-star recruit, big time, highly ranked athlete, Moa Ogden, which is a 5-star prospect at a 24/7 Sports, has committed to Tennessee. Our first game versus Syracuse, August 30th, 12 o'clock. Big news, Boo Carter is back in practice, doing light conditioning there, good signs there. Looks like the team's coming together. Quarterbacks are working. I think it's going to be an exciting time. A lot of clients are excited about football time in East Tennessee, so something to look forward to. Less than 30 days. Follow our Facebook pages. Follow our Instagram, all of our sponsors. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Like, share, follow, give it to a friend, because we've got tickets. We got some exciting things we're going to be doing. New commercial that's coming out in just a matter of a couple of weeks, right before football season. You're going to love that. And we got some cool giveaways. And, of course, we got tickets. We got you covered for all your home games. Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. Only place to go here for all your real estate needs. And that is our 60-second Vol update. So much going on. Anyway, so exciting. What are you guys thinking? Are you ready for some football time in East Tennessee? I know I am. We're excited. It's kind of hard to believe it's here. It's going to be an amazing season, and excited for what everybody's doing in the program. So talk about the housing market. As I was talking about the first segment, right? First segment, we talked about builders. But I wanted to go back to this. That in the housing market, what we saw in the June sector, that builders as a whole were making some price adjustments. And so I thought that was pretty. The National Association of Home Builders regularly surveys builders for monthly housing market index. And the data released in June found that the builder confidence remains low, dropping two more points from the previous month, hitting a third lowest mark since 2012. And the average price reduction of the builders, about 62%, were making price reduction. So that was something interesting and something to think about. Had a client that we were talking about and had a little conversation about the housing market moving forward. Right now, guys, marketing is key. Reaching across the U.S. is key. Some of the things that we do the best here, some of our digital marketing. I'm really firm believer of, as far as marketing digitally across the country, reaching the right buyers, not only local but out of state, one of the best that does it. And you got to understand technology and how to leverage that to your advantage. And those are things that we have to use now to get more eyeballs than ever as the market is a little bit sluggish. But then that conversation of where the market is responding. In real estate, it's what a home is worth, always what a buyer and seller are willing to pay. And so we need to find that gauge. And obviously with rates and inflation, those buyers, their adjustment, their feedback might not be exactly where we want to expect it to be. So adjustments may need to be made. And that's why it's so important that you get with a great team and work on that advice and making those corrections. You're seeing that new construction, we're following what the buyers are seeing, the competition that's out there, and making some adjustments. So that may be needed as we approach the back half of 2025. Let's talk about a rental property. We're going to talk about that on the show and how that could affect you in the housing market if you're looking to buy or sell. Rental market is a great opportunity to gain wealth. The stock market's all over the place. I had a meeting with a good friend of mine the other day, and he's more of a stock guy, and I'm more of a real estate guy, obviously, because I do it every day. You want to diversify, but I think now, as far as I can speak on the housing front for real estate, renting a property seems like it's easy way to make money, but there's a lot of things that can complicate the process. So first thing you want to do is making sure that you get up to date on your tenant and landlord laws, because they're constantly changing. But let's piggyback a little bit before we go into that about why I think real estate is a good investment now moving forward. Because right now you're seeing the market's a little bit sluggish. It's not exactly where we want it to be. If you're going to borrow money for investment or a rental property, it's not exactly where you want to be. But remember now, inventory and selection just a couple years ago, you couldn't even find an investment property. And if you're like me, you get all these calls or texts or people that are investors trying to sell you something. So I think for investors now, we have more opportunity and selection than we ever have in the last couple of years. So when real estate's a little bit on sale or a little bit of a discount, we have to use that to our advantage. Debt can be a great thing. Interest rates may not be exactly where we want to be, but if you can get the property for the right price, secure financing or pay cash, it just depends on what you're looking for. Remember, the rates may change hopefully in the future. And so there's opportunity for ARMs or adjustable rates or secure at a higher debt. Maybe you're not making the cash flow that you're looking for now, right? But that cash flow may change in the next 2 to 3 years. And one of the biggest things that I think most people don't look at it is when you buy a property, if you get a fairly good deal as an investor, not only are we looking for the monthly cash flow, but hopefully the appreciation of that asset over the periods of years. We just bought one in Maryville, great little property, but we know what the area is going to do, and we know what West Knoxville does. We know what these things. So now is the time that if you're not looking for property, think about it. And hopefully some of these things will help give you some advice. If you don't own your first rental property, now may be the time to do it. I believe that when everybody says no, it may be go left, right? Opportunity. A lot of people are looking to sell their property, downsizing, relocating, different things like that. Make sure you have more cash liquidity than you have in a while. Make sure your reserves are up to cover any unexpected costs. Know your cost. Know now that probably one of the biggest things that we're facing is not the material cost at Home Depot or Lowe's, it's your labor cost. What used to be a simple job or you think could be a couple $1,000 could turns in tens of thousands of dollars. So make sure you know your construction cost. Finding a good handyman or contractor that can help you with some of these repairs is key. If you're going to try to do everything yourself, make sure you have the time that you're able to do that. Some of you guys do have that. Have a team of professionals, obviously, from real estate. Have a good real estate lawyer. We've got good contacts for that. Make sure your leases are done properly. Marketing is key. We're battling with some things on our end, but marketing, having a great rental property, and if you don't have exposure for that rental property, then nobody knows it's for sale. And the rental market is a lot different than the housing market for just a regular resale. Make sure your property is not subject to rental restrictions. I think one of the biggest things that you may not think about are HOAs. And so a lot of HOAs may not allow long-term rentals or short-term rentals. Make sure you check those out. If you're going to rent a property or buy a property for investment, I would not maybe recommend swimming pools. It could be a big liability, hazard, and would probably steer away from it for an investment property. Surprise costs, we're always going to have some surprise costs. Budget for those, allocate for those. And if this truly is a long-term investment on the front end right now, you may overpay for some things. A lot of people are. Costs may not be exactly where you want to be, but remember, real estate is a long game. Holding it is a great opportunity for wealth and a generational wealth to pass to your kids, family, etc. Don't hire, except that hiring a property manager is an easy solution or one-stop shop. Just because you hire to a property manager doesn't mean that they're going to solve everything. Maybe something that you need to be actively involved in, questions that you want to ask about the marketing, return calls, screening, things like that, that you need to do. You know that old saying, nobody's going to watch your money except you, and nothing has changed over the years. Nobody's going to watch your money by you. Make sure if you have a rental property, if you have the means to be in-state and manage it, make sure you do site visits. Go by, check the property, do quarterly inspections, drive by. Sometimes out of sight, out of mind, could be problems. And as the owner, nobody's going to watch your money better than you. So make sure that you're doing visits on those. Have some reserves. We talked about that enough. That may be the topic of 2025. Make sure you got your piggy bank out. Got a lot of reserves to stomach what's going forward. Listen, I think the housing market, as we're closing out Real Estate with Ryan, is sluggish. But as you can see, we're having lots of success with sales. Lots of properties are closing. And there are some challenges on the market. We're making those adjustments. Get with a great agent in the housing market. We'd love to help you. If there's anything we can do, our number is 865-693-SOLD. And we'll always be here to help you. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I look forward to seeing you back next weekend with Real Estate with Ryan.